Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid, I have set the eternal always beside me. God is at my side. I shall not be moved. Therefore does my heart exult and my soul rejoice. My being is secure, for you will not abandon me to death, nor let your faithful one see destruction. You show me the path of life. Your presence brings fullness of joy. Enduring happiness is your gift. Death has taken our beloved Eileen Trauman. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Eileen's love that united us in life, which death cannot sever. For her companionship shared along life's path, which continues through the tenderness of memory. For all the gifts of her heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness, and is now a precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks to God. In this time of grief, we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures. It brings us the ever-new message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. Adonai ro'i lo echsar, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It's Eileen calling, trying to interrupt, trying to make sure that she gets the attention. That would be like her. From the book of Proverbs, a woman of valor, who can find her? She is more precious than fine pearls. Her husband trusts in her, and so he lacks for nothing. She does him good and never harm all the days of her life. She perceives that her labor is rewarding. Her candle burns on into the night. She reaches out to those in need and extends her hands to the poor. She is clothed in strength and dignity. She faces the future cheerfully. She speaks with wisdom. The law of kindness is on her lips. Her children rise up and bless her. Her husband sings her praises. Many daughters have done valiantly, but you, Eileen, you excel them all. So I met Eileen about 5 years ago. My sister called and said, the cutest little couple moved in next door, and they're pregnant, and they're due the same month that you are. You have to come meet them. So we did. We went over, we walked next door, we met the cutest little couple. And sure enough, she was due the same month that we were. We went back about a month later, and we met Jaden. I walked in the house, and I said, oh, what a cute baby. And I grabbed him, and I picked him up. And Jenny held George back from hitting me, because he hadn't met me yet, apparently, and didn't know who was picking his child up, his newborn child. But very quickly, we became friends. And it was that night, I believe, that we met Eileen. And Eileen was a regular there at the house, giving bottles to Jaden and to our Jacob. As her balance started to go, Eileen would find happiness in sitting with the baby and just holding the baby. Well, Jaden wasn't so into that. Jaden doesn't sit still for much, at least not when he's awake. So when he was awake and running around, she would go and get Jacob. And Jacob would sit. And if you pet him or pat his belly or rub his back. He would just sit calmly and quietly, like Julian. Calm baby, no problem. Eileen loved it. She said, Jaden, come and sit with me. No. But Jacob would sit with her. She tried to tell us, I love Jacob, as if he were my own grandchild. He just sits with me like a marshmallow. Now, I know she meant that in the best possible way, but as a heavy adult, I don't love being called a marshmallow. My child has inherited the name Marshy from that day. I tried to discourage it, but it really didn't matter if you encouraged or discouraged. When Eileen wanted to do something, Eileen did it. And so we've changed Jacob's name to Marshy, short for marshmallow, despite his parents' objections. From that point on, we became family. We were with Eileen for each of her birthdays. We took the babies and we propped them up next to the table at Samurai as they screamed and cried at the fire and the smoke that was billowing off the table. And we said, no, don't cry. It's wonderful. It's fun. It's entertaining. And Eileen clapped and the babies cried and cried. It was a bit too much for them. From there, the next year, we went to Barton G. Johnny had called and said, I want to come down, but I just can't. Work and family, and I just can't come down right now. And we said, okay, well, then we're going to take her out to dinner. And Johnny said, I feel terrible that I can't be there. Dinner is on me. Go anywhere you want. We put our heads together and said, pick the most expensive place you can find. And that was it. Johnny took us all to dinner at Barton G. And we sat at the table with her, and she ordered. And Jenny would whisper as she would order and say, I don't think you should eat that. I don't think you can eat that. And Eileen would elbow her and push her away. I said, Eileen, I'm worried about you. What if you choke? She said, it's my birthday. And she didn't choke much. She got through dinner. We all did. We had a fabulous time, and we sent pictures to Johnny. It was a beautiful, beautiful evening. Lori wore her beekeeper outfit, and we had our larger-than-life steak that came served on a lawnmower, and dessert came out in a gold bar for Eileen. And it was a night to remember. And again, the boys cried because it was too late and too much. The next year, we were all at the 305 Club, and we were honored not only to be there for Eileen, but the king of rock and roll, Elvis, was in the building. And we celebrated that night like no one had ever celebrated. She danced and she partied and she went from person to person. She'll tell you it was on purpose, but I think she was just falling. One of Eileen's best jokes in her last year or so, was whenever she would sit on the sofa in her spot next to Jaden's chair, she would stand up to go and get a drink or to do something, and the minute she would stand up, Nick or Jenny or Johnny would come running over. Oh my God, what do you need? Let me help you. I'll get it for you. And she would stand there, right, Jaden? And she would say, hello, I'm falling. I'm falling. She thought that was hysterical. The rest of us, not so much, but at least she told us she was getting up. And those times, we knew she was okay, right? And on Halloween, she would dress up like Spider-Man or Batman, and she would go and she would make it as far as the front door. And then she would say, you know what, you should go and trick or treat. Bring back candy for me. And at her birthday, they brought home what was left of the red velvet cake, her favorite. And at the party, Jenny hadn't allowed her to eat it because she was worried that she might choke. So she waited until Jenny fell asleep. She took out half a red velvet cake. She brought it to the table. It wasn't worth risking another fall to walk back and get a fork or a spoon. So with a napkin in one hand and chunks of cake in the other, Eileen went at half a cake. Most of it landed on the floor and all over the table, but some of it made it in. And that was really all she wanted, was to be able to taste her cake. And damn it, it didn't matter what anyone else thought. The doctors, her children, she was eating that cake. And she did. Jenny asked me the other day what I had asked her first. How do you describe your mom? And she said, well, you knew her. How do you describe her? Always an excellent tactic. I said, well, like a bull in a china shop. Damn everyone and everything. If I want something, I'm going for it. And if I knock something over on the way, so be it. She had very clear feelings about the world, about people, and if you agreed, great, and if you didn't, whatever. They were still her feelings. And she was unabashedly and unashamed convicted to whatever those feelings and those ideas were. Even until the end, she did not compromise. She did not give in. She was brave. She was stoic. She was loving. And she was silly. And she was funny. Whoa, I'm falling. And then she would laugh at them as they came running. Today we pay tribute to Eileen. We honor her for the life that she lived, for the beast of an attorney that she was, and for the beast of a human being. Whatever it was that she wanted, she went right after it. No shame, no asking forgiveness, no nothing. And if something got knocked down, broken, or hurt along the way, it would be okay. Or it wouldn't. It was Eileen. We invite up Eileen's children to come to share some stories and some memories. We invite Jenny and Johnny to come up. Good luck.
Hi, and wanted to thank everybody for coming here. I know a lot of folks, family and friends, my mother very much appreciates everybody coming here today. For the record, the idea for these stolies out front was my sister's idea and not mine. I've had a couple people that have asked me, but it was hers, but my mother would really appreciate everyone here today. I just wanted to say a couple of things, and I'll pass it along to my sister. My mom was a very, very special person. I always remember her for being so smart, so talented. When I even started my career in banking, I would call her in 2004, 2005 for tax questions that would make me look smart internally, for sure. And I never told anybody I called her, but I did. And part of that and her work drive, some of the stuff I'd like to think that I've taken away from her. She loved Elvis Presley, for those of you who didn't know, but it was all over the house. She also loved things like Star Trek and sci-fi, and my wife here, Michelle, doesn't like it, and every time I still watch it, because I like it, I can say my mother got me hooked on sci-fi. She was always there for me, which is most important, right? Despite all the work that she would do, she was always there for both of us and everybody as a family. She kept me out of trouble at certain times. She got me a job at her law firm that some of you here was great to see. It's been a long time in the copy center back in high school working for, so I'm still grateful for that. And when I told her I wanted to go to University of Wisconsin, which everyone thought it was nuts, she was there to support me for it. She loved my kids, Jordan and Drew. It's unfortunate they don't get to see her anymore. They called her Grandma Eileen. And every time they saw each other, they knew Grandma Eileen had lots and lots of presents for them, and they would always ask what was coming. So she had a great life. She obviously had a very unfortunate and rare disease, and fought through it till the end. But I want everybody to remember her for her life. I also want to really thank my sister, her husband George, and my mom's brother Nick for over these really, really hard times. And it wasn't a few years; it was several years, for really being there for my mother. I'm in New York. These guys were there, either living with them or coming down, or my uncle, on a very frequent basis. I couldn't thank you guys enough, and her dear friend Barry Katz as well, for always being there for her during these times. So I think from now, in my perspective, she's in a much better place, and I hope you realize that too, Jenny. She's in a place where she wants to be now, versus the last couple of really, really hard years.
There is a word missing from the Webster and Black Law Dictionary, and that is Eileen, who I'm lucky and blessed to call my mommy. My mommy is a real-life superhero. She's my best friend, my rock, my partner in crime, and most importantly, she is and will always be my mommy. She's a true example of a superhero, overcoming so many hurdles, losing her brother Jordan at age 21 while she was in her first year at UF. She continued to strive and went on to learn her law degree at UM, graduating top in her class. I am the lucky one in our relationship of 37 years. There are many people that have parents that live into their 90s, but they never share the love and bond that me and my mom have. I always wanted to be like my mommy when I grow up, and I still do. You taught me what it meant to have a character. You taught me never to give up. You taught me to be strong, but I'm really not. But most importantly, you taught me the importance of loyalty and honesty. Anybody that knows you personally can attest that they can tell you anything and you'll keep a secret. No matter their decision, you will never pass judgment. You always said your word is all you got. I don't know how I'm going to go through life without you. I've been lucky to live with you for the past 14 years. When I came home from college, I lived with you by choice while in law school. You would always tell me to get an apartment, that I'm old, to grow up, but I would say, Mommy, I want to live with you. Most kids want to get out of the house, but I couldn't wait to come back from college to live with you. But most importantly, there's never been a day in my life that I haven't spoken to you. I don't know who I'm going to talk to, who I'm going to harass, who I'm going to annoy, that will always love me no matter what. Not sure how I'm going to navigate the second chapter of my life without you, because no birthday, holiday, or occasion will ever be the same. You are so hardworking to provide Johnny and I the best life possible. As a single mom raising 2 kids in a man's legal world, you went straight to Greenberg out of law school and became a well-known tax attorney. You were so hardworking, but you always made sure you were home to make us dinner and put us to sleep at night. You would then stay up all night working because you never missed any of my soccer games, track meets, or dance recitals. You were there for it all. I'm so proud to call you my mommy on so many levels. If I can be half of a mom to Jaden, as you were to me, I would consider Jaden to be one lucky kid. My mommy isn't one to be loud nor opinionated, quite the opposite. My mom isn't talkative, nor too social. She always told me, if you can count 5 people on one hand, you are lucky. She loved going to the gym at 6 a.m. before work, and she had the same trainer for over 2 decades. She always kept to herself, but I know my mom has a heart of loyalty, which can be seen by everybody that came today. She never looked for attention, but always put others first. She was a huge animal lover, which she definitely passed on to me. I remember her last 3 dogs vividly, Mandy, Sugar, and Sprinkles. She loved them and treated them like humans. They slept in her bed, and she would make them eggs every morning when she made eggs for themselves. People don't understand our relationship. She's more than a mom to me. She loved me so much, but I loved her so much. She would always pack my lunches with a note and leave me a Hershey kiss. It's the little things in life that count and that you remember the most. I remember Hurricane Andrew fell on my birthday, and of course she had cupcakes while we were all hiding in a closet. She never missed anything. I never forget when I was homesick in college, I really missed my dog. And at that time, I lived on campus. My mom told me I was a dork, that I need to get an apartment, but I lived on campus as an RA all 4 years at FSU. So my mom thought it would be a good idea to wrap the dog's poop in paper towel. I called her immediately telling her how crazy she was. She said, she's very black and white and straightforward if you know her. She says, all you do is complain that you miss a dog, but that you don't want to live off campus, so I thought that's the next closest thing. She made it seem like it was normal. Not sure if you know my mommy, but she's a lot cooler than me and always knew the newest and best movies, TV shows, current events. She'd go on Saturday morning to the movies at Sunset Place when nobody was there by herself. Me, on the other hand, not so much. If I were to go to the movie with her, she definitely watched it before because I can't sit still. I go to the bathroom and I ask way too many questions. Every day I question, why did this disease have to happen to my mommy? 1 out of every 100,000 people in the US, and it had to be my mommy. Why? She was healthy, took care of herself, she did everything. Why her? She always told me as a kid, the good die young and that nothing on earth lasts forever. She always told me to try to just live in the moment. Stop worrying, Jenny, stop worrying. Death is inevitable, because I'm a worry bug. We talked on the phone at least 10 times a day about nothing of relevance, about nothing. I just always called her. As a child, I slept in her bed. My parents were divorced by choice in middle school too. I drove her crazy all the time, literally. But I knew in my heart, no matter how crazy I drove her, that she loved me and my brother more than life itself. When my mom got diagnosed, I remember the exact time. It was August 24th, 2016, 4:07 at the University of Miami. I was in disbelief, and my mom held me up, of course, as I was the one in tears. If you know my mom's personality, she doesn't say much. She just looked at the doctor and said, okay. This happened 3 months before my son was born. I told the doctor that he was nuts. He had no clue what he's talking about. He has the wrong diagnosis, and I pretended I was the doctor that knew it all. We then flew to the Mayo Clinic in Arizona, and it was confirmed. I was shattered, and Jaden was just being born. Despite the shattering news, I decided to take it one step further. We went to the University of Florida, where they focus on movement disorders, and immediately we put her in a clinical trial for 18 months. She was basically a lab rat for the hope to slow the progression of her disease. She was such a fighter through all the falls. She never complained. We were both so blessed to have a wonderful caretaker that helped my mom so much, named Rosa. She can attest to my mom's resilience. After a major fall in Staples, she's like, let's go to Coral Reef Park with Jaden, why not? She attended speech, physical, occupational therapy, despite the doctors telling her it's a waste of time. The outcome of your disease is progressive, it's not gonna change. All of a sudden, the clinical trial stopped because 8 universities around the country didn't see any positive effect, and that was our only hope. It gave my mother and I that we can find some sort of medicine. Mom, I still cannot believe you're gone. I think this is just a horrible dream, but I can remember vividly your last few minutes before you passed. I was lucky to be there with you alone. I was able to tell you I loved you. I was able to hold your hand and kiss you. I made a promise to you that I would be strong for Jaden no matter what during your last moments on earth. And like you always told me, your word is all you got. Mommy, when I close my eyes, I can feel your hand as you squeezed it so tight in your final minutes on earth. I was able to tell you everything on your last breath. I say I'm the pretty lucky one here because most people don't get that chance with their parents. I was also very lucky to have an extra 4 months in the hospital with my mom, although it seemed like 2 days. I was very blessed to have 2 doctors in particular, Nina and Carol, that gave me an extra 4 months with my mom. When they first saw my mom, they said she's gonna pass in the next day or 2. But like my mom, she's a superhero. To prove all odds, she beat her first aspiration pneumonia. However, it cleared up, but then she couldn't eat. These 2 doctors believed in me and were my advocate, as my mom couldn't talk. This all seemed so real, as I felt like I was there for a day. But I was given the chance to work bedside with my mom and sleep and snuggle her every night. I was blessed that Jaden's dad was able to take him at night so that I had the chance to always sleep with my mom so she would never die alone nor be alone in the hospital. Mom, I can't imagine living in this world without you. It hasn't even been a week, and it feels like eternity. I miss you so much. I love you so much. You are my world. and I strive and promise to be strong for Jade. But the pain is deep. But I am so thankful that you are not suffering anymore. I promise I'll keep on fighting for you until they find a cure for PSP, which robbed you of your life and took you away from me. I wish I had one more kick from you in the bed, one more screaming, one more hug, one more everything. Mom, I promise I'm not going to give up the fight. I'm your biggest advocate. You are the only person who believed in me. You always told me this growing up. Don't expect anything from anyone and you'll never be disappointed. I know you live by that. Maybe I should start trying. I pray, I think about you always. I hold you so close within my heart. There will remain an empty hole forever. I pray that you still give me guidance and walk with me, even though you aren't here with me physically anymore. I can't wait till I see you again and I can snuggle and kiss you and harass you. Mommy, I hope you're enjoying heaven and eating all the desserts and peanut butter and all the foods that I yelled at you for the last 5 years. Drinking whatever you want, doing whatever you want. I hope you're having a party in heaven with your mom and dad and all your other animals. Mommy, there will be no better snuggle partner and no human on earth that loves me as much as you, and that is a fact. I'm going to make a body pillow of you so I can snuggle you. I cannot and will not say goodbye because I know we'll be together again. I love you to the moon and back. My mom always told me throughout my life, if something ever happened to her, you can always count on her little brother, Nikki. Like always, she was right. My mommy and her brother were so close, even though they were 21 years apart. They had a bond that is hard to describe. She was right. They're 21 years apart, but their relationship seems as if they grew up. My mommy is always right. When my mom got sick, he was the first person at the hospital. She promised me throughout my life if something ever happened, because my mom always thought something could happen. If I needed anything, always turn to her little brother, Nikki, and she's 1,000% right. He stood by my side and spent weeks at a time in from the hotel and out of the hotel for the last 4 months in the hospital. God, I am grateful. Thank you for giving me my mom. You must really love me because you gave me the best mom in the world. Please watch over her and bless her and keep her safe until I'm here with her again. I still believe this is a horrible dream and I'll see her again. Mommy, I love you to the moon and back. And thank you for being the best mom anyone could ever dream and ask for. I will never say goodbye because I know I will see you again.
When I first got to know Eileen, I was getting up to leave the house and she waved me over. So I went over and I thought, oh, she must be one of those warm, fuzzy people who likes to hug. She's waving me over, so I come over, I put my arms around her, and she looks at me like I'm crazy. So I back down a little bit. She leans in, and I thought, oh, she's going to kiss me. She put her head on my shoulder, and she leaned in, and she said, brown sugar Pop-Tarts. Jenny won't let me. Bring lots. Brown sugar Pop-Tarts. That was what I would bring. When I walked in this afternoon, the people who work here handed me a note. It was a handwritten note, and it was addressed to Jonathan. And naturally, they know me, so they assumed it was for me, but in fact, it was not. It was for you. I opened the note, and I'll read it out loud to you. Dear Johnny, we are so sorry about the loss of your mom. Our condolences to you and to your entire family. From Sasha and from all of us here at the distillery, Stolichnaya is with you today and always. We hope you got the cases that you ordered, that we sent, and know that we will always be here to drown your sorrows. Love, Sasha and all your friends at the distillery. So they gave it to me by mistake, clearly. We invite up Barry Katz, Eileen's closest friend, to come and to share some of his memories of Eileen.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming today. Most of you knew Eileen personally and some professionally. I had the honor of knowing and loving her as a friend for most of my life. Although we had known each other since middle school, she was way too cool to hang out with me, and would never even talk to me. But we knew each other through common friends. She hung with the cool crowd. I hung with the not so cool crowd. And she was actually the bad boy in high school. She hung out with all the guys that rode motorcycles and stuff. But in college at UF, it all changed for me, and we became best friends. It was 1968. We hung out a lot that year and the years that followed. I remember the pure joy of having her as my friend, my confidant, my drinking buddy, my drugging buddy, and just all-around pal. I remember weekends where we would take Escatrol, a favorite amphetamine of ours, and just talk all night about everything and anything and everything as we drank and chain-smoked Marlboro Reds until the sun came up and we would eventually crash. All my friends loved Eileen. She never took any shit, and she was one of the guys. Eileen remained in my life throughout college. We shared stories about everything, our dates, good ones, bad ones, and there were plenty of those. Talked about who we liked and who didn't like us, and vice versa. We talked about school, plans and visions we had about our futures, what our futures would be like. She was so smart. I was always in awe of her, of how smart she was. She always knew she wanted to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a doctor. She made it, I didn't. But in the end, it worked out well for both of us. When she went to law school at UM in 1971, I was in Gainesville. I was still in Gainesville, and we spoke almost every day. Never got tired of hearing her talk about the law, and she would tell me, and I would tell her she's the smartest person that I knew, and she would tell me to shut up. After we both married our respective spouses, we still stayed close. We spent lots of time together with Eileen and Dave, probably 3 or 4 days a week for years. The kids were born around the same time, so we were like one big family. We spent a lot of time as couples in the early years of our marriage. We would see Eileen and Dave all the time. Then, as it always does, life gets in the way. Life and work got in the way, and for several years we really didn't see much of each other. But we kept in touch by phone, or we would see each other at the odd birthday or bar mitzvah or wedding or funeral. But, that's life. So about 20 years ago, it was 2000, I had a big Y2K party at my house, and I invited Eileen and Jenny. Remember that, Jenny? That night. And we immediately reconnected. We instantly picked up where we left off, as if nothing had ever been missed in our relationship. When my wife started to go to our home in Canada in the summer, and I was still working, and I was here in Miami, she became my Friday and or Saturday night movie date. Sci-fi movies, which I love and my wife doesn't like, and action movies, which I loved and my wife doesn't like. And Eileen was always game for anything. She just loved to just be out, go out to dinner, whatever. And we had just the best time. When I sold part of my business in 2013, Eileen was there to take care of everything tax related, along with Jerry Hesh, her colleague. And in 2015, when we sold the remaining portion, she was there again to make sure everything was in place for the future. After the sale, she used to yell at me for not spending enough money, and so we planned together going on cruises and exotic family vacations. We were both so excited. I finally told her, in order to be able to do this, she'd have to quit her job and come work for me full-time as my tax attorney, and she agreed to do that and would be available for travel. Then one evening, we were out at a movie, and I noticed that her gait was slightly off. I asked her if she was okay. She said that she had been stumbling a bit lately. We didn't think anything of it, but later it got worse, and she began having trouble seeing. She was soon diagnosed with PSP, which relentlessly robbed her from us over the next several years, taking away her ability to type, to speak, and finally to walk. But she always remained mentally sharp, a beautiful mind trapped in an increasingly useless body. I will miss her kindness, her loyalty, her sense of humor, her pushiness, her selflessness, her honesty, her devotion to her family and to my family and to me. I think about her every day and will keep her in my heart, even though she is no longer here in body. I love you, my friend, and I will miss you more than you will ever know. Rest in peace, and I'll see you on the other side. Thank you.
From your days as a recreational user to your days as a professional pusher, Eileen was always there to support you, to be your friend, and to see you through. For now, for tomorrow, and forever. We invite up Sabrina Grossman to come and to share some stories.
Thank you so much. Growing up, my Aunt Eileen was always my cool aunt. I only saw her a few times a year because we lived in New York, and we'd usually come to Florida over the breaks. But my dad was her first cousin, and unfortunately, due to some health issues, my dad and my mom are not able to make it here today. But he had such a great love and relationship with my Aunt Eileen, and so he sent this message that I wanted to share of just some memories. So Eileen and I were first cousins. I lived and worked in New York, so we only saw each other a few times a year. But when we were together, it was more like we were brother and sister. And I have so many great memories of her, but 3 stand out. The first one is for the seniors, and not seniors in high school, but they understand. He got married, my dad got married in 1970 in New York, and Eileen came up a couple of days early. And he was on leave for the Navy at that point, and he still had a lot to do before the wedding, but Eileen decided to run around the city with my mom, Zena, who they've been married for around 50 years, and me. At the time, there was a popular TV show called The Mod Squad, and it was about 3 people our age solving crimes. I don't remember which one of us started, but we were running through the streets yelling, "We're the Mod Squad, we're the Mod Squad." As silly as it sounds now, no one yelled anything negative, and we were all laughing hysterically all night. Not long after I got married, Eileen got married, and we met Eileen and Dave at Big Sur while they were on their honeymoon. And they were not all that into camping, but Zena and I used to camp all the time, and we finally convinced them to cook out and camp out in one of the campgrounds. It took a long time, and we were so sure that they would have a fantastic experience and convince them it was clean. Well, Eileen then found a used baby diaper in the campground grill. And needless to say, that was the last time. The third memory is actually from my wedding. About a couple of months before I got married, I came down to stay for a week with Eileen and Jenny. I had a break from work, and I was talking to Aunt Eileen, and she was asking me if I got my wedding dress yet, and I said no, I just hadn't found the one that I wanted. And immediately she said, "Well, we're going to Little Havana and going shopping." And I was like, "I don't think I'm gonna find my wedding dress here." And she's like, "No. And she insisted, and she took me from bridal shop to bridal shop. It was actually the first dress I tried on. She was like, this is the one you're buying." And I was like, "It's way too expensive, I can't get this." And so then she spent probably another 3 to 4 hours taking me around, and then made me go back to the shop, and while I was trying it on, she called my dad and paid for the dress. And so so every time I look at a picture of us getting married, I just think of her and think of, again, she was the type of person who, there was no excuses. She was going to make sure that I bought that dress, and it was such a great memory. So I know that these memories are small, but I just think that she meant so much to so many people, and these memories brought laughter and happiness to both my dad and my mom and me. So thank you.
Had I heard these stories earlier, I would have been much more careful about becoming friendly with this family. Spending 3 to 4 nights a week with a newly married couple, joining them on their honeymoon. This could be a dangerous family to know. I sometimes worry about George and my wife, but not about Nick. We invite up Nick, Eileen's brother, to come and to share some of his stories about his sister.
Imagine yourself 20 years old, getting ready to go to law school, when your dad calls you and tells you that he and his new wife are having a baby, and you're going to be a big sister. In short, that's about how the story goes. Eileen was mortified and embarrassed, and I, the baby brother, never lived it down. Eileen often reminded me that she lived through Dad's midlife crisis. I was simply the result of it. While our age difference didn't provide us the traditional sibling relationship with arguments, fights, and rivalries that Jenny and John had, there was never a moment that Eileen didn't make sure that there was no question that I knew I was her little brother. I look back when I was younger than my kids are today, and Eileen taking me to go see E.T. and the very first Star Wars. And I can tell you I don't remember the details about the movies, but I remember how special it was for my big sister to take me to go see them. I can't tell you the movie theater, but I vividly remember the experience. I spent many days and weekends with her and Dave doing the fun stuff my mom and dad didn't want to do. She never said no to taking care of her little brother as our dad and my mom were off to Vegas, Monaco, or wherever my dad's midlife crisis took him. You see, we all have a person in life, and he was her person. And even though he was living his best life, her person was her person. And she is my person. Your person is one person you can confide in, the one person in life that is irreplaceable. The one person you call to tell anything to, and trust anything with, and have complete confidence in. My sister was always my person, and my sister is irreplaceable. And although we mourn our loss, there is great comfort in knowing that she is now with her person, our dad. And as she still referred to him today as her daddy. I could go on with great stories, memories, and talk about all of her accomplishments, personally and professionally. But if I had to guess, if Eileen were to write her eulogy, it would be about her character, her love and dedication to her family, her love and honor to be the mother of John and Jenny, and her pride and the joy of being the grandmother of Jordan, Jaden, and Drew. That's what was really important to her. Although we all knew she was passionate about what she did and she was damn good at it. At the end, it meant nothing if it wasn't for her family and what she was able to provide them. I'll close on this note. My father and my sister always said they didn't have a lot of friends. But look around you. You are the people that have been impacted by her life. You are the testament to the incredible person that she was. There is no doubt she would have hated being eulogized like she has today. And there is no doubt she would have given us all that face that we've all gotten to see the last few years. And it wasn't a very cute face. Looking down on us here today, there is zero question she used her favorite word at least 100 times so far. And if you don't know what that is, I won't explain that now. She's also asked us all to read between the lines several times over today. You see, she wants to be celebrated, not mourned. The mourning is for us here. While this may be the only funeral that you or I have come to that comes with a party favor, it is with purpose. This cup represents the debilitating illness that Eileen suffered from over the last 5 years. Cure PSP needs the support so others don't suffer the ways that she has. The red mask represents her favorite color. The sanitizer, because we're all a little bit crazy right now. But most importantly, although she remained a non-drinker for a long time, she absolutely would want all of us to celebrate her life today with a toast. Salud. We love you. We miss you. You are my person, and you are irreplaceable.
When we say goodbye to a loved one, oftentimes we worry that we won't be able to replace them. And when it comes to Eileen, I think there's no doubt that she cannot be replaced. In an effort, though, to make up a little bit of that space, we gathered all of you to come and to be here and to contribute what you can to be supportive. That support that Eileen had for all the people in her life has to be delegated out and shared among entire families and circles of friends just to make up for Eileen. She will be missed, but we will think of her whenever we do our taxes and have a question we can't answer, whenever we lift a bottle of Stoli or Tito's or anything else, and whenever we watch Jaden and the rest of the family growing up at their birthday parties, at their celebrations, and at all of their family gatherings. God, you give us loved ones. You make them the strength of our life, the light of our eyes. They depart and they leave us bereft on a lonely way. But you, God, are the living fountain from which our healing flows. To you, the stricken look for comfort, the sorrow-laden for consolation. O God, we see life as through windows that open on eternity. We see that love endures, the soul endures. As you, O God, endure forever. We see that years are more than grass that withers, more than flowers that fade. They weave a timeless pattern in a world that is the dwelling place of your love and your glory. We rise for the El Maleh Rachamim, asking God to be with Eileen now, to watch over her, to keep her from pain, and to help her to see us and to watch us and to be proud and happy in ways that were difficult for these past few years. El Maleh Rachamim Shochen Bameromim Hametzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShekhinah Im Kedoshim Utehorim Kezohar Harakia Mazhirim Et Nishmat Yikarenu Shehalcha Leolama Bal Harachamim Yastireha Beseiter Kenafav Leolamim Vayitzror Bitzror HaChaim Et Nishmata Adonai Unachalata Vetanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkava Venomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Eileen Trauman, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings. Let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us all say, Amen. May those who mourn the loss of Eileen find comfort in the hope that though the dust returns to the earth as it was, the spirit returns to God who gave it. Death is not the end. Those we love have passed through the gateway into the peace of life eternal. We know that all of us must tread the same path, though we know not when the hour may come. Let us so live that the coming of that hour shall find us unafraid. May our deeds do honor to the memory of our beloved whom you have taken to yourself. Trusting in your wisdom and loving kindness, we praise your name with the words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach irutei ve'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv ve'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlam araba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael Ve'imru. Amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru. Amen. May the one who makes peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all Israel, and for all the world. May we live our lives in such a way that we honor the memory of Eileen Trauman. May we drink a l'chaim to her. May we spend a Saturday night watching sci-fi movies, even if it's not really our thing. And if it makes it easier to get through, there are some pharmaceuticals that will help. May we love our family and our friends deeply and with passion. May we do everything in life with passion and conviction, just as Eileen did. And in doing so, we honor her memory. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude all of our services today for Miss Eileen Trauman. On behalf of the family, I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here today, especially during these very difficult and trying times. I understand there is a Shiva, so I would highly encourage you to kind of drum up those stories, those thoughts, a joke or two, a recipe, a memory, anything that can help everyone get through this trying time. You may all go in peace.